Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joe Iannello. I'm the Vice President and CIO from Capital Metro, and I also serve on the Board of Directors from Austin City Up. And as you may know, if you were in an earlier session, Austin City Up is a public-private consortium whose purpose is to facilitate smart city initiatives. First, just a little background on Capital Metro. Capital Metro serves a population of a little bit over 1 million people, and that does not include travelers who visit Austin all through the year. We have over 30 million boardings per year on the services that we provide. We have over 500 buses. We have a commuter rail service. We have a freight service, a freight rail service that runs over 130 miles. And we have nearly 3,000 transit stops or stations. And we continue to be the fastest growing city in the country, and so our services continue to expand and grow. So in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about autonomous vehicles, but I'm really going to step back and really take a look at how the Internet of Things really applies to a public transit agency and Capital Metro specifically. I'm going to touch on how that relates to smart infrastructure, smart data, smart mobile technology, and smart vehicles. From a smart infrastructure standpoint, just a few years ago, we implemented at Capital Metro on some of our bus routes and some of our bus vehicles technology that's known as traffic or transit signal priority or TSP. And this allows some of those vehicles to automatically communicate with the traffic light and the traffic management system. And so under certain conditions, those vehicles automatically request an extension of the green light in order to facilitate rapid transit service. And so those are that technology is enabled at intersections that are included in our Metro rapid routes. The importance of that is that that technology will be continued to be deployed on additional routes as we move forward. And we have additional routes planned for as early as next year. But it's also really the beginnings of a connected infrastructure that's going to be used for other applications as well, including connected vehicles. Another aspect of the smart infrastructure is Wi-Fi capability. And we've deployed customer Wi-Fi on a number of our vehicles, on our Metro Rail vehicles, on our Metro Rapid routes, and also on our Metro Express routes. So in all these vehicles, there's free customer Wi-Fi that allows our customers to make use of that as part of their journey. And we know from our statistics that these services are highly used on all of those vehicles. In addition to that, very shortly we'll be deploying additional Wi-Fi hotspots at a number of our transit stations. So again, just extending the availability of Wi-Fi to our customers and to our travelers. Another aspect of smart infrastructure has to do with smart kiosks. And we've partnered with a company called Liquid, LQD, which a few months ago was acquired by Verizon, and we'll be deploying some of these smart kiosks that are known as Palo at some of our transit stations. Again, they're multifunctioned. These particular units have two video display screens that can provide various information, announcements, community announcements, event announcements. That could also be used for advertising. There's also an interactive video display touchscreen that can be used for a variety of information. We're going to be using it for wayfinding information, as well as many other things that are going to be relevant to where that kiosk is placed and the community that surrounds it. Other functions include emergency capabilities, an emergency phone, video capture, video cameras, sensors. There'll also be eventually electronic payment capabilities, and also included is a cellular small cell, and in fact it acts as a hotspot, a Wi-Fi hotspot as well. So it has many functions. Again, we're planning on deploying the first of these units coming later this summer. And on this slide, on the left-hand side of the slide, is a depiction of this Palo smart kiosk. On the right-hand side of the slide is a picture of it that was taken just last month during the Super Bowl. And one of these units was set up temporarily in the grounds of the Super Bowl, right outside the Super Bowl, as part of that event. Another category of smart technology is smart open data. And Capital Metro has been an advocate of open data for many years, but what's relatively newer is we've begun to provide our real-time vehicle location data, not only through our own solutions, but also as open data. And so every vehicle that we operate, we know where those vehicles are located in real time based upon a GPS system. And that data is provided through open portals, through the Open Data Portal from the state of Texas. It's also available from the Open Data Portal from the city of Austin. It's also available from our own website, capmetro.org, in the Metro Labs section of that site. And we'll be adding additional data to these portals as we move forward. Another category is mobile app technologies. It was just about 3 years ago, January of 2014, that Capital Metro launched our mobile ticketing app. The Cap Metro app is available on iOS and Android and Windows. It's been hugely successful. It continues to grow in use. It's won multiple awards. And the smart device can be used not only to purchase the ticket, but it acts as the ticket that can then either be used visually or through scanners on some of our vehicles. There's a major new release coming in the summer where there'll be additional capabilities insofar as our trip planning capability. Today, through our tool, you could plan your trip and purchase tickets using our services, our bus and rail services. Coming this summer, we're going to integrate that with transportation network companies, private transportation companies, bike share companies, ride share companies, car share companies. And so that's going to address what's known as the multimodal trip planning capability. It's going to address what's known as the first and last mile. So you'll be able to, if you choose, to use a private transportation company to reach the nearest public transit station and then take public transit for the long haul. Or, and that would be the first mile, or take the public transit facility and then, departing that public transit facility, take a private transportation option for the last mile. Now, all of this is going to be done in real time, and through algorithms, so that you can plan your trip from A to B with this multimodal capability and do it seamlessly. Initially, we're going to provide that capability to do the trip planning, and then what will follow is combined ticketing. So again, in a seamless way, to purchase a ticket not only for Capital Metro public transit, but if you so choose to combine it with a private transportation leg, you can do that as well. Those traveler tools are provided by a company called Hakon. They're based in Hanover, Germany. MIT identified Hakon as one of the 50 smartest companies in the world. And when you look at that list, you'll see a lot of well-known companies like Tesla and Google and Apple. You also see some companies maybe not that familiar with. Hakon is one of them. Hakon is an equity partner of Bytemark, and Bytemark is our partner in the mobile ticketing side of this app. Also, something else that's coming soon in terms of mobile technology is we'll be introducing the use of a transit on-demand app as well as back-office technology. This will allow us to not only have our services on a fixed route schedule. You know, traditionally buses start from point A they go to point Z, and there's many stops in between, but it's a fixed route. What we're introducing is, in addition to those routes, something that's known as a flex route. So those vehicles that are on this flex route won't be confined to defined stops. They can go essentially anywhere within their area to pick up passengers. This sort of is like a transportation network company. So in any event, within a few months, we'll be introducing that. There'll be an app where customers can ride those services, hail those services, using an app for the purpose of using that flex route. Probably many of you may know, and this is a little busy chart, but the point of this is in terms of vehicles, there's different levels of autonomous vehicle technology. And at one end of the spectrum, there's no automation at all. At the other end, it's fully automated. And so we're going to talk in the remaining portion of this presentation about autonomous vehicles and how that relates to public transit, and specifically how it relates to Capital Metro. So when we think about autonomous vehicles, there's different form factors. A lot of press has been given to autonomous cars. And in fact, Google has been testing on the streets of Austin their autonomous car for a couple of years. Google's self-driving car now is known as Waymo. That's the more recent company name surrounding that. Now, Texas has been identified by the U.S. Department of Transportation as one of the automated vehicle proving grounds. And within Texas, there's a partnership between the University of Texas in Austin, specifically the Transportation Research Center, Texas A&M Transportation Institute, as well as the Southwest Research Institute. And this partnership has been identified as one of the proving grounds within the U.S. For testing, piloting autonomous vehicles. Now, Capital Metro is already using some autonomous technology. Specifically, there's technology from a company called Mobileye. And we have Mobileye, and the product that we're using from them is a collision avoidance system. That's on some of our buses. Again, it's not fully autonomous. We'll be using more of that as we move forward. Now, just 2 weeks ago, Capital Metro demonstrated a fully autonomous electric minibus shuttle. And this was from a company called EasyMile. And again, we partnered with the Center for Transportation Research at the University of Texas here in Austin, because they're one of the partners of the autonomous proving grounds in Texas. And so during those 2 days, we demonstrated this vehicle. EasyMile is a vendor based in Spain. It's fully autonomous. It can handle 12 passengers. And hundreds of people came out to take a ride. And I'd like to share with you one story that I think is interesting. One of the people who rode that vehicle was a young lady who just happened to be exactly 100 years old. And she was delighted to ride the vehicle. And after riding it, she made the comment, she was so excited, because when she was a little girl, she rode a horse and buggy. And now, nearly 100 years later, she got the opportunity to ride an autonomous vehicle. And so, we thought that was a great story. We put it on social media. And of course, it makes you just kind of think. If we live to be 100 years old, what things might be like. EasyMile isn't the only vendor in the space that specifically is targeting the minibus shuttles. There's others including Nava, and also a company called Local Motors. Local Motors is a US-based company in Arizona. There's also another company called Meridian. So there's a few companies that are particularly focusing on these minibus shuttles. Obviously, from a car standpoint, nearly all of the major car manufacturers have plans for autonomous vehicles. And from a minibus shuttle standpoint, we can see lots of applications within public transit. But we're also very interested in full-size autonomous bus vehicles. And so probably the earliest full-size autonomous bus that's been piloted on the street was done in China by the Yutong Bus Company, which happens to be the largest bus company in China. BYD Motors is also in the process of planning an autonomous bus. In the picture here on the lower left is a picture of an articulated bus, which is a bus that's essentially two buses joined together in an accordion fashion. We have some articulated buses here in Austin on our Metro Rapid routes. And Mercedes-Benz is also testing on the road a full-size electric autonomous bus. So in concluding this presentation, I specifically also wanted to mention that just recently, Capital Metro has published our plan, our go-forward plan, our go-forward transit plan called Connections 2025. And that plan includes many things. It recognizes, obviously, that we have a congestion problem. It recognizes that we continue to be a fast-growing city. So it includes the addition of more services, more frequent services, but it also includes a number of what's called innovation zones throughout Austin. And these innovation zones, in particular, we'll see a number of newer technologies that are enabled by the Internet of Things. And that's not to say that we won't see that outside of these innovation zones, but these innovation zones will have a high concentration of these capabilities. And so Connections 2025 is really about connectivity. And connectivity is certainly supported and enhanced by the Internet of Things. So with that, I thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Joe, great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Exciting, since I'm a resident of Austin. The big question I have is, do you think these innovations will be able to develop rapidly enough such that we'll ever get ahead of the congestion we experience here in Austin? More importantly, as a taxpayer, will we ever be able to defer or perhaps reduce the capital bond requirements to keep building these roads in the future? Because the capital planners are looking 20 years out, they have to fund the bonds, our taxes go up, you've got great innovation. Will they be deployed rapidly enough to help offset some of the capital expenditures?
I mean, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it, but of course I don't have the full answer to that, given my role. But I'll answer it in this way. I've been with Capital Metro. I've been here in Austin for 5 years. Prior to that, I've spent my career in technology, but in the private sector. And I think Austin is a great place to be. It obviously has its challenges, congestion, traffic congestion being one of them. But since, my background was in the public sector, and now I'm in the public sector, not the private sector, one of the main things that hit me as soon as I got here, from a technology standpoint, was the length of time it took to get things done. So I'll just say this very briefly. One of the things that we came up with, and part of the reason for that is, in the public sector, there's rules in terms of what you need to go through for procurement. And just the procurement process can take literally 4 months, 5 months, before you could even start a project, an implementation project. In any event, one of the things we came up with was a demonstration agreement. And by doing a demonstration agreement, the beauty of it was that instead of spending a lot of time preparing all of those documents that had to go into an RFP, and then going through the RFP process, there was just a very short, simple, few-page document that said, hey, are you interested in partnering with us to do a demonstration of something that's new and innovative? And we've taken that approach in a number of cases. We took that case with our mobile ticketing app, and that's the way we were able to launch a demonstration of our mobile ticketing app within just a couple of months. From the, we signed the demonstration agreement within a couple of days. In a few months, we actually launched the mobile ticketing demonstration. Now, once that demonstration was completed, we then needed, and we knew we wanted to have a permanent solution, we then needed to go through the more lengthy procurement process. We're doing the same thing with these smart kiosks. Instead of waiting years to get to a point of getting it out, getting an experience, getting a learning curve, getting feedback from the community, instead, we've signed a demonstration agreement to relatively quickly deploy these. So I know that doesn't answer completely your question, but within the world of technology and within the world of Capital Metro, we're doing as much as we can to speed things up. But I agree with you, there's other challenges related to this subject as well. I know we're just about out of time. We might have time for one more question.
For the multi-ticketing systems that you're about to introduce with multi-route, how are you going to verify, let's say a person purchased a ticket as they hop into a bus or so? Is it something like the airlines? You have a code, barcode in your iPhone, for example, and being scanned as you enter the bus?
Yeah, so I'll quickly answer that. So on phase one, we're not doing ticketing, we're just doing the trip planning. So you could plan your trip doing this multimodal. But soon after that, we will do ticketing. And I'll just give you one example. And it's going to vary depending upon the partner. But from a bike share standpoint, what we're planning is to do the combined ticketing and to allow you not only to purchase the ticket through the single app, but then when you get to your destination where the bike rack is available, the system will know to unlock the bike when you arrive at your destination, knowing it's you. So again, the whole purpose of this is to try to make it seamless and to make the whole experience, and especially the whole multimodal experience, easy and quick. So, and the details will vary depending upon who the partner is. Okay, with that, I thank you very much and hope you have a good balance of your day.